Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 11th meeting of the Newcastle Community Activities Commission. This meeting is being broadcast on YouTube, and it will also be recorded, and so people can view it later as they wish. Start off, let's rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'd like to welcome everybody here. We have a larger crowd than we usually do, so that's great, so I appreciate that. So thank you all for coming. Amy, you want to do the roll call?
Commissioner Traeger.
Present.
Commissioner Van Atta.
Present.
Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Commissioner Gulzarian.
Present.
Commissioner Kretzinger.
Present.
Vice Chair Flash.
Present, and note that Chair Nathan Sticks is absent tonight, and that is an excused absence. So, okay, approval of the agenda. I think we have some changes that we want to make to the agenda this evening. So I'm going to propose one, and then I believe that Commissioner Traeger has one as well that he would like to propose. So I propose that we take section or item 7.5 and move that up to 7.3, and then of course replace 7.3 becomes 7.4, 7.4 becomes 7.5. And then Commissioner Traeger, you have one that you want to propose to.
I propose that we add an agenda item for discussion on the engagement subcommittee.
So if everybody's in agreement, that would become 7.6. So Amy, do we need to repeat those, or? Okay, does everybody have any objections to those changes? Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda is approved as amended. The next item on our agenda is public comment. So do we have any public comment this evening? No public comment, okay. Anyone online? No, okay. We all seem to check, just to make sure. All right, commissioner comments and celebrations.
I have a comment. Do I go first?
You can, absolutely.
Okay. So last night we had a chat with the chief in the city library. We had a chat with the chief in the city library. We had about 12 people there. Chief brought several officers, and it was a great discussion, lots of questions. Commissioner Allison Lee was there also, and it was a good discussion, open to all kinds of questions. And we also took note that Officer Corey is going to be a sergeant who will be leaving the Newcastle area, still staying with King County, but moving to a different contract community at a higher role, I think a sergeant at another city. So it was a great day there, a great meeting there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? So my only comment is it was raining today, and so I want to make sure that everybody in the community drives safely and pays note of pedestrians and bicyclists that are out there, so we make sure that we stay safe as a community. So thank you for that. Okay, on to reports. Amy, you want to give your events and recreation commissioner report, or our coordinator report?
Sure. And I will also add clean your storm drains.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. My apologies ahead of time for not submitting a written report ahead of time. This one will be oral this month. As you know, I was out of town for about a week and a half with my family. And thus was not able to submit this in time to be in the packet. So your report, Commissioners, tonight on events. I would like to thank the community for what I hear was an absolutely fantastic Lunar New Year. I will save that for Vice Chair Flash to go into with, I'm sure, his Arts Council report. I want to give a special shout out for the planning partners that worked with the city. Councilmember Burford, of course, but Vice Chair Flash with the Arts Council, and librarians Mayra and Dill, who were absolutely wonderful partners. And I want to give them a special shout out because they really held down the fort on Sunday when I was unable to be there and take responsibility for the things that I typically do at the Lunar New Year event. I also want to thank the volunteers. Commissioner Traeger was there, I hear. And a special shout out to Sharon Charbonneau and Kenny Ho, who came in ahead of time to assemble a bunch of materials for me ahead of time, and I really appreciate their support during what was a really challenging week. So moving ahead, looking ahead, we have Earth Month coming up. And I am very excited that your city will be unveiling tulips on the trails, which those of you who remember brainstorming trail appreciation opportunities, this was a brainstorm that came out of the CAC that continued to evolve among staff. And it is a spring scavenger hunt along a featured Newcastle trail. Participants will search for hidden rocks painted with tulips that complete a color by number image, and it is a fun opportunity to explore our local trails and enjoy the outdoors. I brought for you one of our tulip rocks. We have a bunch of rocks that have been painted by high school volunteers Jen and Winnie. So I'll pass that around.
And for those in cyberspace.
Also for Earth Month, we have our spring recycling collection, which happens in the fall and the spring. The spring one is scheduled for Saturday, April 25th at Hazelwood. And if you remember, these are events for hard to recycle items like styrofoam, mattresses, metals, batteries. And that's a grant-funded program through King County and the state. We are also looking to do a volunteer event, and that is under discussion with staff as to what would make the most sense for a volunteer event and during what time that might take place. Moving on, we have a lot of news on the events front. As was discussed by the commission, we are moving forward with a pride flag raising ceremony. I met with the subcommittee I think we had that over email, with some ideas about how to move that forward. And I brought that to City Manager Pringle, who is bringing it to the council members to move that forward. So stay tuned. That is moving along. For those commissioners who are wondering, what are the next steps, you are welcome to continue planning, but the date has yet to be confirmed, the time has yet to be confirmed. Feel free to ask me afterwards if you have any questions on that. Alrighty, keeping with summer, we have our fireworks and concerts planning happen, and I'd like to congratulate our subcommittee who met this week to review over 70 band applications. Wow. Yes, that was something. Congratulations to them because they have a absolute fantastic list for the concerts and Newcastle days. And so that will be moving forward to book those bands ASAP so we can start thinking about what the summer concert themes might be. We did book the Pioneer Squares for the fireworks. That is a band we had hoped to book for last July, but we're not unable to do so. So we were glad that they were available for our July 2nd event. And just a heads up, the food vendor applications will open at the end of the month. Newcastle Days, the subcommittee met last month to review the venue layout and the scope of the event. I'm in the process of booking the big three, the petting zoo, the pony rides, and the giant inflatables. The subcommittee doesn't anticipate huge changes to the event or the layout. It was felt that things are running pretty smoothly after a number of different tweaks we've made over the past couple of years. Any questions about the events side of things before I move on to recreation? Cool. Recreation, spring sports starts this week, but thankfully not today, with Skyhawks, soccer, tots, and soccer on Saturday. And for the first time ever, we have actually sold out our classes. We have a wait list for soccer tots. Official registration for summer camps opens at the end of the month. We are, of course, featuring Skyhawk sports again. We have 10 weeks of classes that include beach volleyball, flag football, cheerleading, multi-sport, baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis, and probably something I've forgotten. But 10 weeks worth of all-day and half-day camps at Lake Bourne Park. We are also welcoming back Challenge Island, which is a STEAM, so STEM plus the arts, very hands-on camp that we'll do at the Lake Bourne Park shelter near the tennis courts. They're offering 3 weeks worth of camps. And new this year, we are entered into a partnership with Steamoji Newcastle. If they are a STEAM-based curriculum, but it's more robotics and computer-based, and they are located in the QFC Plaza. And so we are going to partner together to mutually promote camps. And they have 9 weeks worth of camps this summer. You can preview all of our summer camps at newcastlewa.gov/recreation. Exciting new developments. Commissioner Van Atta reached out with an idea from former planning commissioner Amy Dantzler, who now lives in the city of Renton, is doing the Renton Civic Academy. We've had 2 meetings as a group with city manager Pingle and myself, and we are getting a curriculum together to do a civic academy for this fall. If you have ideas, suggestions, please pass them on to either Kim or myself. And then finally, just a reminder, folks, the volunteer newsletter goes out next Friday, March 20th. So if you have anything from any of your partnering organizations that you'd like to have included, please make sure you get them to me by end of day on Thursday, the 19th. Any questions about recreation or anything else I did not address?
Question on this Skyhawks camp. What age group is that for?
Oh, that's a very good question. So typically they do like 4 or 5 to 7 or 8, depending on the sport. They group around there, and then they do about 9 to 12. We added TOTS programs last year, so those are preschool programs that generally start at age 2. So there's a 2-year-old program, 3-year-old program, and a 4-year-old program, depending on how the sports break out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Civic Academy, can anyone attend?
Well, gosh, I don't know that we've gotten that far, but I think you have to be a Newcastle resident or community member, but I don't know that we've defined that, and I do believe we're going to do an application process.
Okay, but just as of right now, Newcastle resident, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be very specific to Newcastle.
Yes, it is going to be very specific to Newcastle, so it's not a generic it's a Newcastle-based civic academy.
Okay, thank you. That informs my ideas that I will send you later.
All right.
All right. I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Let's just go down the line. So, Commissioner Traeger?
Troop 499 is working on their plans for activities and other things they do. They have 20 new scouts this year that are joining, so it's a really big increase. And they don't have anything for us to promote at this time, but it looks like that troop is growing. And then when we get more data or more information on the volunteer related to, the volunteer event related to Earth Day, maybe there's some opportunities for them on that. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Earth Day is coming up soon, right? Like,
April 20th is usually when it is.
yeah, so about 4 or 5 weeks, 5, 6 weeks. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Van Natta.
I might be stealing the Chamber's thunder. The only update I have from Regency is that they are hosting the Greek Magazine's Women's Month issue honorees on March 26th. That's a Thursday, with a luncheon at 11:30.
And you will be featured, so congrats on that.
I will be there, thank you.
Commissioner Lee?
Friends of Newcastle Library report that they have, they've determined and published the dates for their big annual book sale. Those keeping track, May 14th, 15th, and 16th. And Newcastle Library, although they reported nothing new, some things I saw on, for events on their website, there is a 90s pop culture trivia night scheduled for March 31st. Dungeons and Dragons game night, March 24th. Those do require registration, but as I was looking at them this morning, there is still availability. And then just for information, as these sessions are already closed, there was also Pause with Cause painting party, an adult session and a children's session, sessions on March 21st. So some kind of fun things there going on there.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Golzari.
No report from the Newcastle Trails.
And lastly, but Commissioner Kretzinger.
The Chamber of Commerce, as Kim already mentioned, there will be the women's luncheon at Regency. Get your tickets as soon as you can. Seating is limited, and that's on March 26th at 11:30 to 1. You can purchase tickets and register on the Chamber website. The Diamond Awards are coming up, and so they will be held on April 30th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. And as usual, we need nominations. So nominate people or businesses that you think deserve to be nominated, that stand out. They are also doing something new this year, which I think is cool, called the Best of Newcastle Community Awards. And so they have expanded a lot of categories where you can nominate your favorite things in Newcastle, businesses, etc. So I would say go to the Chamber's website and submit your nominations, and also register and get your tickets to attend the Diamond Awards. And last but not least, Coffee and Connections this month will be held at the Coal Creek YMCA from 8 to 9 next Thursday, the 19th. And then the Historical Society, Russ is here tonight to do a presentation, so I will not steal too much of his thunder. I do know they have a celebration of Milt Swanson's birthday coming up on March 28th at the Red Town Trailhead from 10 to 2, but I will leave the rest to him.
And the Diamond Awards are open to anyone to make nominations, correct?
Yes,
And the nominations close when?
soon.
Soon. Yeah, I
Yes,
think it's
yes. Sunday.
Sunday, I think it
15th.
is, yeah. Okay. Okay, it's a great way to recognize the great things that are happening in our community, so,
I would also add that everybody is welcome to attend.
of course.
It's not closed.
All right, and Arts Council, so We had, as usual, we've had multiple events during the month since we last met. We had a Valentine's Day card making event at the library, and this happened on April 14th. I was fully expecting that because it was on April 14th, that most people had already done their Valentine's Day card making or creation, but we had 106 people show up. So, yeah, it was a huge event, a much not anticipated, the amount of people that showed up. The Lunar New Year celebration was on March 1st, and as Amy pointed out, it was a really great event, really great community event. It's become a tradition. This is the 4th time that we've done a large event like this, and was well attended. I do want to, as Amy pointed out, thank some people for that event. So the organizing committee, as Amy pointed out, volunteers and presenters. So we had a lot of presenters that were at the event that helped bring the spirit to the event. Quite a few community groups. Our sponsors, so that would be the City of Newcastle, Newcastle Arts Council, King County Library System, Friends of Newcastle Library, and then King County District 9, so that was Reagan Dunn's office. And they gave us some financial support for the event. And then DIY Tea Lab was there to hand out tea samples, which was always a big hit. We also had quite a bit of political representation. So Congressman Adam Smith was there, Representative Janice Zahn, Representative Milan Tai. We had representatives from Reagan Dunn's office, so his Chief of Staff, Corey Eccles, and Darren Nguyen. Representative Patty Murray sent someone from her office there. And then we had our police chief that came and representation from the Bellevue Fire Department. So I want to thank them for contributing to the event as well. We had estimated that we had about 1,000 people that came. So that was another big hit for the community. The Newcastle Arts Council right now has an art exhibition up at the Newcastle Library for youth. So we do one event a year in March for youth and one for adults in September. This event was, again, another huge success. We had we had quite a few artists that put in for entries, and we had a limit. Because of limited space, we had to limit the amount of entries that we could have display at the exhibition this year. With that said, there are 62 youth artists that have art on display at the library, representing 12 grades, 29 schools in and around the Newcastle area, and representing 9 surrounding cities, including Newcastle. So huge success again this year, and as I mentioned, this was about double what we had last year. So the word is getting around, so thank the community for that. The Pause for Cause event was mentioned earlier, so I'm not going to mention that or go into any detail. And then we have a Academy Awards Oscar preview party. So one of the relationships we have is with a professor at the University of Washington, Lance Rhodes, who does our film series event every month, and he creates some commentary and discussion around the films. He's doing an Academy Awards Oscar preview party, which is going to be on March 14th, I believe, and that's online, so you can stay at home and watch or participate in that. Free Little Art Gallery is still here available at City Hall. The poetry wall is going well, and lots of people leave comments at the Newcastle Lake Bourne Park. And that's my report for that. So I also want to point out that I think this is the first time where I've heard such a wide variety of activities that are happening within the community, both from a city sponsorship perspective and from the community group. So Newcastle is alive and well, and the community is doing their part of getting people engaged in the community. So all of our efforts are there, and I think we're showing a great example to the overall community, but I think people are also stepping up and creating community events and activities for us to participate in. So thank you to the entire community. It just shows evidence of a really healthy city and a really healthy community that we have here. So I want to congratulate everybody for that. Okay, on to general business. So we have a bunch of presentations, or a few presentations this evening. So Russ, I'd like to call you up and talk about the Historical Society.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here with you, and want to chat a little bit about what's going on with the Newcastle Historical Society, and be prepared to answer any questions. Hopefully you'll have a few. We have a relatively small but very active group of volunteers, and wanted to talk about a couple of things tonight. So we have some slides that you should be able to see on your monitors there. The first thing I want to chat about is the new Heritage Park, which is anticipated to come to prominence sometime this early summer. On the screen, you'll see the plot plan that was originally put forward by the developer team for this development, which is 7+ acres of land, one of the original sites of Newcastle. And this is where the original mine was, the very first one, as well as the miner cabins and so on. A great deal of that information is documented in our book, The Coals of Newcastle, and I have copies here for anyone who wants one. If you haven't got this, it's well worth reading. There's a lot of good photography and maps. I'm struck with the notion that we talk about community activities. If you read this book, you'll find that community of Newcastle at the turn of the century, that the 1880s, 1890s, was a very active community with many, many organized groups, various clubs, played baseball, did all kinds of sports and so on. Most people in Seattle would not know that we had the very first theater here. There's a camera projector, which we have donated, that was active in showing films here at the turn of the century, 1900. And people would come over from Seattle and catch a boat at Leschi and come over to Newcastle at the landing there at your Pleasure Point. We have the camera, or the projector. We had film, but unfortunately it was silver nitrate, which is an explosive. And we had to turn it into the Army to deal with it correctly. Anyway, Newcastle's always been a very active community. And of course it went away when the mines were closed in the 20s. Most of the people moved to other mining communities. A number of them moved back to Issaquah or down to Renton. So we've maintained an ongoing relationship with those communities because they have a great number of the artifacts, photographs, and maps that really legitimately belong to Newcastle. And we do a little bit of swapping of those artifacts and items periodically. One of the issues with this development is that the developer is dedicating at the very far left of the photo about 1/4 of an acre of land where the original buildings that were on this site were moved several months ago, well, almost a year ago now. It included the Baima House, so-called, the Honeymoon Cottage, and two other structures which were part of the original town site of Newcastle. So those have been moved, and we can go to the next shot. You'll see a picture of, there you go. That's the Baima House in its new location. And I don't know if you've all driven by that property, but I urge you to do so. It's quite effective. This is the first thing that people will see when they come into this new community. Some 36 homes are going to be built there, and I suspect they'll be starting to construct those sometime midsummer. They have all of the ground utilities, etc., are all installed. The streets are done. and they have the electrical services established on the sites for the construction of these homes. So I look forward to that. We anticipate that this building will become a very active center for the Historical Society, and we've been maintaining an ongoing dialogue with Brendan and the city manager about how we will interact with this property as a historical society. We anticipate that it would be periodically open to the public, and inside we have a great number of artifacts, including furniture from some of the original buildings, pianos, tables, chairs, kitchenware, and all of that. And we would intend to have these set up as displays to depict what a home looked like at the turn of the century. And so we're looking forward to that. The honeymoon house is potentially a small office building where we would establish our archives and the research that we do with photographs and maps. We anticipate acquisition of a good bit of equipment sometime this summer, including the software to manage the archives, so that those could be all photographed, documented, and put online so that people around the world could research it at any time. And that we're done an awful lot of investigation on what would be appropriate for that. Okay, next slide. Here's another shot. You notice the lamp post there? The developer's done a really incredible job of building this project. It's got basically a coal mining theme, if you think about it. And this is appropriate for the 1880s, 1890s. And there'll be a number of outdoor displays, some tables, signs, and so on. There'll also be a miners' memorial there. We have funds raised, which would involve potentially a picture, actual fake, but realistically fake, mining entrance, and with a coal car and all of that. You'll hear a whole lot more about that. Okay, next slide. Here's a sketch of where the mine might well be. This is behind the Papaima house from the street. All right, next slide. Another project we're working on is in King County, actually at Pleasure Point in Bellevue, along the old Northern Pacific trackage, which this is the railway right-of-way that goes across the trestle in downtown Bellevue. This part of the trail project is complete, and when they complete the trestle, this will be integrated into all of that, which will go up through Bellevue and ultimately on out to Redmond. One of the things we anticipate, and we have been communicating with King County Parks, is the establishment of a memorial to what we would call the Bensonville Incline. Originally, most people would know, and you would find it again in this book, the original coal was transported right across this area in front of Newcastle City Hall to Pleasure Point. And there the coal cars were let down an incline to a dock on Lake Washington, put on barges and hauled over to Lake Union. And you'll hear a whole lot more about that. But anyway, about 800 feet north of this intersection is a place where the incline crossed this trail. And we have submitted to King County Parks a sketch and see what kind of response we get. There's a depiction of this. This is kind of what we're describing. So anyway, those are things that we want to put out there that are visible to the public. One of the things that has been an issue for us over the years is that we have very little tangible things to show and tell from the history of Newcastle. The one thing we have currently is the cemetery, which we've been very active in keeping up to date and clean, restored some of the markers and so on. We've added a survey of all of the plots and so forth. And we hold it open with the city staff 4 or 5 times a year. And it's always popular. If we have people there working, people walking along that street, 129th, will want to come in and see, and they ask, when can we come in and look around? Then I would mention the last thing is on the 28th is the Milt Swanson birthday party over at the trail at Coalfield. And there's more information in the city information newsletter and so on. Starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'll have displays there, including a number of artifacts to look at on tables, be some refreshments and so on. So anticipate a pretty good crowd. Hopefully it'll be a nice day. So that's briefly a report. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Russ. That looks awesome. Excuse me. I walk by the Bama House area maybe a couple times a week, and it's just awesome. It's really great to see it develop over the last few months. A question on the artifacts and the opening days. Is there an opportunity for volunteer docents to maybe explain some of the history?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever any of the facilities are open, like the cemetery or some of the other public events at the art fair, for instance, we've had tables several years. And in this location, there will be docents available on the times that the building would be open to the public. But we always have people at their tables, Newcastle Days. For instance, we have a very good display, and we have several volunteers who are quite knowledgeable. When the cemetery is open, we have tours, and those have some very interesting stories to tell about the history of that facility.
I'm asking because I think maybe some of the scouts in 499 might be interested in being a docent and learning the history and being able to carry on with the message, as they grow with the scout process.
We'd love to make that happen. We have people who are quite well knowledgeable and could easily work with them.
With your permission, I would talk with Cindy about that, the scout leader there, to see if they have scouts that would be interested in that.
Okay. Well, some of the troop have participated in our cleanup days at the cemetery.
Yeah. A second question on the incline. Is that proposed park in Newcastle City, the city of Newcastle?
No, this is in Bellevue,
Okay.
but we have the information on it, and it's part of our history, and it's documented in our book and so on. So we wanted to, and there'd be thousands of people bicycling, walking up down that trail. So it's just another way of integrating our history into the general community.
Yeah, and maybe some awareness on Bima House and other things
Oh, yeah.
that were related to the incline.
And as you know, we have a number of signs, some 12 or so locations around the city with interpretive information. And they're designed to catch people's eye and give them information and lead them to the city's website and our website, and let people know about Newcastle.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You up? Okay, thank you very much.
Russ, I have one more question for you. Russ, have you mentioned about doing the archives and putting them on the computer and so on and so forth. Have you reached out to For Culture for potential grant funding for that?
Yes, we actually have a grant right now which is in place for 2 years for funding, significant funding for expenses. And once this park is established and dedicated to the city, and then we are integrated with the city through some agreement, we'll have funding to have docents and other things happening there. One of the early things we have to do is evaluate what needs to be done inside to make it safe and habitable for the public to be in and out. And we anticipate some interior painting, maybe wallpaper, some other things like that to sort of dress it up. Although it's in pretty good shape, frankly. And so we look forward to have that happen fairly soon. We've been marking time. Okay?
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Russ. The
welcome.
Newcastle Historical Society is certainly an important part of our community, so appreciate all the efforts that you and the rest of the people involved are.
Okay, well, if you'd like any one of these, just let Amy know, and I'll get you one.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, next we have a presentation by our Newcastle Youth Council. I'm going to let them come up here and introduce themselves and tell us what's going on with the Youth Council.
Hi everyone. So first of all, I'd just like to extend my thanks to Vice Chair Flash and the rest of the Community Activities Commission for inviting us today. We're all really excited to share with you what we have. So a little bit about us, and you can move on to the next one. Thank you. So you probably remember I presented to this committee in June about an idea that I had for a youth council. And since then, I've presented to the city council, worked with them, and started the youth council. And so this year is kind of serving as our trial year, and it's going very well. We've been doing a lot of projects and having some great, insightful discussions. We're getting the youth very engaged in city government, which is really important and impactful. And we now have 18 members and meet at the YMCA every month. So we have a leadership team elected by our council that is going to present for you today. Firstly, me, I'm the chair. And then we have our vice chair, Ivan Visi. We have our secretary, Vanessa Castaneda. And then we have our service supervisor, Eleanor Brown. It's actually her birthday today, and she's coming here and presenting. And then we have our publicity manager, Taylor Bly, and they've all been doing such an amazing job helping me put the council together and helping run things, and it's been very smooth because of them, and I just greatly appreciate that. And then here you go.
Yeah, so our requirements to be a member, first we have an application process, and then once they come in, we have our attendance requirement is you have to go to every meeting, except for you can miss a maximum of 3 every year, and they have to be excused. And then we have members must attend 4 city council meetings with proof. And then members must complete 25 hours of volunteer service, and 5 of them are required to be a Newcastle event. But all 25 have to be within the Newcastle community. And then members must attend and volunteer at least 1 youth council-led event, which we haven't had yet, but we're working on.
Okay, so we've had 8 meetings so far this year, and what a typical meeting looks like is we'll come in, we'll give people 5 minutes to go ahead, settle in. Then Eleanor will take attendance for the meeting, and right after that, we'll go into our daily agenda and announcements. And announcements include anything from upcoming projects to events that are happening in the community and service opportunities that we can attend. And right after that is kind of a flexible discussion time. So it's a time where we can talk in small groups or just as a large group on issues that we want to address or events that are coming up and how we can help out at them. And right after that, we go into our bi-weekly service project. So at our last meeting, we made freshman advice videos for incoming freshmen. Things we wanted to know as freshmen, since most of us are upperclassmen. And before that, we made Valentine's Day cards to residents at Aegis Gardens. So, and then right after that, we will talk about our project. So currently, the project that we're working on right now is a Newcastle City time capsule, and we plan for that to happen on March 22nd, and we're trying to get the ball rolling on that. So figuring things out, what we want the guidelines to be for what people can drop off, where it will be at, and we'd greatly appreciate it if. Okay, never mind. It's at the library. Sorry. Yeah, it's right there. And then in 25 years we'll open it. But we're working on advertising it, so we would love your help with that because we think it could be a really great event.
Hi, okay, so we've been putting together a lot of amazing projects. So our upcoming projects that we're working on is first off is the youth town hall, which we think would be a really great opportunity for the youth to get involved and have like a low stakes supportive environment where they can talk to council members and just kind of share their ideas, because that is mostly the main idea of our board, is that we really want to have youth more involved in the community. So that's something we'd still really love to do. And then additionally, we really want to put together a summer, end of summer type of event, kind of starting off the school year at Lake Warren, which we'd love help with, but also if you guys are already planning something similar, we'd love to partner with you on that and kind of give a youth perspective. But yeah, those are our main upcoming projects.
And then speaking about what's upcoming, we wanted to discuss what's going to be happening in our upcoming meetings. So we'll be having one the 30th of March where we'll be reviewing how the time capsule project went, because as mentioned, we're hoping for it to be sort of running on the 22nd, and we'll also be working on other town hall projects. Coming into the 27th of April, we will be writing our constitution. It's going to be based off of how this year was executed, basically how it went. We're going to give a rundown on that, and based off of those events, write our constitution. Then in the 18th of May, we'll be electing our new leadership board. So we have a lot of graduating seniors on the board right now, so we'll have those incoming members that are going to be moving up in the ranks. And then the 15th of June, they're going to start shadowing the old officers to sort of get the hang of things and sort of know how everything functions before they graduate and leave. And then we'll be planning our end of year event. Now we have some questions for the CAC. We would love to have a liaison on the CAC representing the Youth Council to talk a little bit more about this. They would sit in at meetings and present a youth perspective on our behalf and then report back to us so that we can be up to date on everything that's going on and sort of on the same page. We would like to know if this is something that you would all be open to. Okay, thank you.
Can I get a clarification? So when you say liaison on the CAC, like to have a seat on the dais would require a change to the council rules? So something like that is not within the purview of these folks, but a liaison to the CAC, meaning, you know, sitting in the audience, actually anybody's welcome to sit in the audience, and then as things come up to provide a youth perspective, that is something the commissioners, the chair can invite to speak at any time. These are a little bit more casual than and informal than a city council meeting. So I just want to clarify, are you looking for a liaison on or a liaison to?
So that's actually kind of part of what we wanted to ask you. Whatever would work best within your rules and guidelines and still get the youth perspective on the chair in the way that we wanted it to. But we're very open to any sort of position that would allow that. So what all do you think?
Well, as in past practice, when there was the NICE, the Newcastle Youth Community Engagement, we did have two liaisons that sat there during each of the meetings, and they weren't voting members, but they were, you know, operating under advisement. They were an additional, feedback piece. So that is a role we have had in the past.
And is that something that you would be open to reopening that could function again?
I would certainly be in favor of that. I don't know what others on the commission feel.
I agree that it's a great idea. I just need clarification for myself. When those positions were held, or when somebody was sitting in those positions, did that constitute a change to all this? Maybe, Amy, that's partially a question for you. Or what was the situation then?
This one?
Hello? Okay, so they were not, as Commissioner Van Atten pointed out, they were not voting members. They attended our meetings, they provided input, feedback, but they were not voting members of the commission. So, Amy, do you have anything to add on that?
I wasn't on the commission when there were youth members. I was appointed during the pandemic. All I can say is the recommendation can be made, but action can't be taken. So I can bring the recommendation to the city manager.
So I'll make a motion that we ask the council to consider reinstating a youth non-voting, so a liaison type position to the commission.
I will second that.
Do we have any objections to that?
I just have a question. Was there an agenda item related to that setup? Or was it just?
There was not an agenda.
no.
There's a presentation from the group. I don't know what the rules are. Do we need to have an official agenda item?
The commission does not. Because you're not taking action, you're just voting to make a recommendation.
Okay.
And you're voting because you want to make that a more formal process. But as a recommending body, it is perfectly okay to make a vote
Let
like
me
this.
restate my question. In prior years, was there an agenda item for the youth group?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah.
the youth council is a brand new thing that they've described. When there was a group called NICE that was run by the library, and it was basically a way to engage youth and the community. So they had, similar to what the youth council does, they had representatives that sat on that group. I'm not quite sure how they were structured per se, but there were 2 representatives of that group that then attended the Community Activities Commission meetings. And they reported on things that were going on that the NICE group was initiating and involved in.
So I think I can add, they typically would report during the parts where we're discussing our community groups. So where
Yes.
we talk about the Scouts and the Chamber of Commerce, they would provide their report of what they've been talking about, what their upcoming projects are, anything that in the past that they want to circle back to.
Thank you.
So we do have a motion on the floor, and it has been seconded. So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
I see no objection, so we will make the recommendation to the council that they adjust the rules so we can have a representative from the youth council on attend our meetings on a regular basis.
So just so everybody understands what happens next, a recommendation is made, it is brought to the city manager to then discuss with the mayor and deputy mayor during their agenda setting meetings. So no action, but expression of moving forward.
Wonderful. And when is the next city council meeting? What meeting would they end up talking about it? Do you think?
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just pay attention to the city website and social media for when the meetings are posted. They're the first and third Tuesday of the month, and the agenda is posted with a link there.
Perfect. And then if we could just go to the next slide really quickly. Just thank you so much. And then I wanted to ask if there were any questions or comments on anything else we presented.
What's the minimum age to join the youth council?
So you have to be a high school student, so you can join going into your freshman year, the summer before your freshman year, and you do have to leave the council by the end of your senior year.
Is it limited to a specific high school in the area?
So it's not limited to a specific high school in the area, but you do either have to be a Newcastle resident or within the boundaries of Risdon Middle School or Newcastle Elementary. And all students living in there are eligible to join.
And I'd like to ask with regard to schools involved, You've got 18 members currently. What schools are currently represented? What high schools are currently represented?
So currently we have members from Issaquah High School, Liberty High School, Newport High School, and the Bush School? The Bush School.
So only Issaquah School District schools. Oh, no, excuse me, in Bellevue.
No, we
And
have,
nobody
yeah,
from
so we-
Hazen.
So we do have, we have Bellevue, Issaquah, and a private school representative. But we're currently looking to get some more Renton High School or Renton School District members from Hazen. And that's something we've been looking at advertising.
So I'm just excited that there's at least 18 youth that are excited about volunteering and supporting the community. That's totally awesome. I think you guys should have as one of your membership requirements that you sign up for the volunteer newsletter with the city of Newcastle, because there's a lot of great opportunities there for people to volunteer within the community, and especially if you're requiring people to have certain volunteer hours. So
Yeah, that's totally something I'll bring up at the next meeting then.
I did want to, as the individual for the city who also handles the communications, the youth council is welcome to send me information about upcoming things to include in the city newsletter, and potentially on social media if you have a post. Generally, I can share those out. But I don't go looking for them because I am a part-time for communication. So it really is on the responsibility of the organization to get me that information and get, as soon as you have it, get it to me, and then I'll filter it out from there to the appropriate communications channels.
Perfect. So our publicity manager, Taylor, has actually made a post, and we can go ahead and send that to you today.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
I would just like to say I really appreciate your organization and structure and enthusiasm. It's great to see our youth committed to being involved in the community. This is like community that makes rules and things like that, but you're the community that makes Newcastle a cool place to live. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And I would just like to share, whoever's doing the time capsule, I would love to speak with personally, because I have I have photographs from children, small children from pre-Newcastle days, starting in 1990. I've got a photo album, so please be in touch.
Yeah, that is perfect. I will talk to you after the meeting then. Yeah, everything's vintage and antique.
all right, any other questions? All right, thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Great, yeah.
Looking
Thank you
forward
so
to hearing
much.
more about what's going on in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Yes, and happy birthday, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Right. The next item on the agenda, and actually I was remiss when I changed the agenda item. I'm actually not going to be the one presenting this, but one of our citizens has approached me and wanted to present an idea to the group. So I'm going to bring up Amy Jones and take it away from there.
They were so cute, so I'm very excited to go right after them. But I'm here to talk about starting a 4th of July kids bike parade. Next slide. And before I get started, just a quick introduction about myself. My husband and I moved here about 5 years ago from West Seattle. I'm currently a stay-at-home mom of 3 boys, 6, 4, and 2, so very busy, but also I will be very interested in this bike parade for many years to come if we can get it approved. My oldest son is currently in 1st grade at Newcastle Elementary, and this last fall I was the co-chair of the Fall Festival, and it was kind of our first year so they asked me to do it, and then 2 weeks into it they're like, oh, and can you raise like $2,000? And I had about 2.5 weeks that I was able to actually do that, because the fundraising wasn't what it has been in the past, so we got some sponsors, we made shirts with a bunch of the other moms, we got together, made the shirts, with the sponsors. The event ended up costing $2,006. We raised $2,004. And it was our biggest school's community event, and we had close to, I think, 700 people that came, and it was all free. We had food, we had prizes, games, we got the community involved, and it was a wonderful success and one of the best ones that we've ever had. So that kind of got my ball rolling where I want to do some more community involvement. And then my son, I think I've seen it, saw a couple of you guys at the holiday market. My son was the one selling the hot cocoa, and I sold the Yule logs and some other items that were there, and it was really fun. Also, and then just a little backstory on myself. Prior to being a stay-at-home mom, I was actually like a business executive. I was a commercial property manager. I managed the Bravern in Bellevue, some high-rises downtown Seattle. So I do have an extensive background with budgeting, accounting, risk management, and all those kinds of things that would be very important on planning something like this. Next slide. So as I mentioned before, we came from West Seattle, and West Seattle actually has been doing this bike parade. They had their 32nd year this last year, and I have a stepdaughter and stepson, so we were active participants in this bike parade for a good 4 years. And they have almost 1,000 people that go to theirs, and it's just, all walks of life, and theirs just goes through a residential neighborhood, and then they have a small park that it ends at. So I also, again, have experience in doing a bike parade, so I have ideas on what I liked about it and what I'd like to do different. Next slide. So just a quick overview, and this is my stepson when he was really little and cute, and decorated his little, he was too little for a bike, so we did a little trike. So kids just decorate their bikes. They can be scooters, wagons, stroller, anything non-motorized. I'm going to make that very clear. I know there's a lot of issues with motorized things in the community, so this is non-motorized. And I did it when my son was first born, so he was in a stroller, and we just decorate, and then we encourage families to come out on the streets and wave at the kids when they go by, and they decorate the bikes, and then it's just a good opportunity to bring everybody together. 4th of July is one of those kind of weird holidays where you have the day off and you don't have anything during the day. So this is something that we were thinking would be really fun, maybe from 10 to 1 o'clock or something. Next slide. And this is our proposed route. We're hoping to go down 129th, so we could start at the Newcastle Library since it would be closed on 4th of July. And then we would end at Lake Bourne Park. We are so lucky with Lake Bourne Park being such an amazing park. We really would like to make a big community event. And I talked to some people, I guess they used to do something similar in the Highlands at Newcastle neighborhood where they had a fire truck that kind of led it. This was pre-COVID days, but that seems less inclusive as something like this where we could end at Lake Bourne Park. Next slide. And I had, ChatGPT help me out with some visuals here. So here's what we think it would look like. I would love to get like a fire truck that could kind of lead the way for us. We could station everybody at the Newcastle, like I said, the parking lot there, and then encourage families that if we could get this many people to line up and wave at everybody would be amazing, to go down 129th and then end at Lake Bourne. Next slide. And there we could do games where we could do some potato sack races, maybe do some face painting, have some food trucks. And I mean, then the ideas, I've talked to a lot of other moms, and then there's 1.5 million other ideas going on with this, but I was like, let's one step at a time. Next slide. And my husband's actually a really famous musician that we haven't really been out with before, but this is my husband, and he would be happy to do the national anthem for us at the park. And then we could maybe get some DJs, and we could have just a really fun, bring a lot of people together. Next slide. And so kind of our next steps, I would love, once we kind of can get an approval, I would love to start working on the logistics, speaking with the fire department, see if their fire trucks can go on that route that I was talking about. Would love to chat with everyone that's done the events at the Lake Bourne, so we can talk about what kind of food trucks and get some ideas with that. And I don't know if it's something that we want to kind of piggyback with the fireworks, if we can be a subsidiary of that, or if we need to do our own thing. I would love to do, if we could, if we're able to raise some money, maybe popsicles for the kids that do the bike ride would be really fun. Obviously not mandatory, but would be fun. And then I would like to do some advertising flyers. I want to do mailers all down that street so everyone's aware of the event coming up, encourage people to come out, just kind of stand on the sidewalks. Then obviously social media, and then the volunteer signups. Like I've got so many moms and very involved at Newcastle Elementary, and the list of moms that are actually very antsy to start helping. And then could reach out to our guys back here, and maybe they want to do some volunteer hours to help with the event as well. And then I would love to really make this a community event. Maybe we could talk to some of the assisted living communities, and maybe on our parade route we could have a coned off section where we bring chairs for some of the, older citizens that could have a place to sit, and, they could wave as the kids go by on their bikes. So that's, I think, next slide. And that is everything. Do we have any questions?
My first question is, what is your idea for when this would happen? From a year, like what date? Not 4th of July, but 2026, 2027?
This year.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like to do it on 4th of July. We were thinking from like 10 to 1. Again, this week we can move things around, and if for some reason, if this route doesn't work, we can explore other options, but this seems like a really good fit. And the idea would be, if we having to close the road, it would probably only be a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. And I explored the route, and thankfully for the apartments, there's another egress where they can go out to Coal Creek, rather than if we had to close this road down for 30 to 45 minutes. But the also hope is that there's a lot of kids in that area, so hopefully they would be involved with our bike parade.
Would this be a desired to be a city-sponsored event, or kind of a independent?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. My first step was going, what do we need to do to make this happen? And what would that look like if it was a city-sponsored event versus if it's just something that we kind of do a separate thing, or I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know if it's a city event, there might be liability stuff.
Yeah.
Correct me if
staff.
I'm wrong, Amy, but wouldn't this almost have to be a city-sponsored partnership at least? Because of more than 100 people attending?
Yes, so at present, the city does not have a special event permitting process. It was revisited by City Council about a year ago, and City Council opted not to pursue it. So that means the only special events that are allowed to take place on city property and public rights of way are city-hosted events. So there's no mechanism to have an outside group do something on public property. That's not to say that there aren't options to do things on private property. As the Newcastle Arts Council knows, they do the art fair on Commons, the Newcastle Commons, which is their property. Newcastle Fruit and Produce does the tree lighting ceremony, and that's on Fruit and Produce. There is the holiday pop-up market happens on Safeway property. So there are mechanisms to do that, but not on city property, so not on Lake Boren, and not on public right-of-way. So there is that. It would have to be something in which the city were involved in. That being said, July 4th is a particularly tricky day in terms of public safety. Part of why the city has moved to fireworks on the 2nd versus the 4th is because of the public safety costs. And when you're talking about fire trucks, we are contract with Bellevue Fire, and they are very busy downtown Bellevue on that day. So just to put, I hate to be the damper on things, but just to put those parameters in mind to think about in terms of moving forward. That is the reality of where we're at in terms of special event permitting and public safety partners.
Yeah, I would like to just go on the record and say I think this is an awesome idea. I just think there are some constraints that are likely not solvable this year.
Okay.
So I don't want you to give up.
Oh, and I was just gonna
Great.
find a different avenue. Like I said, if they did the pre-COVID and they did it like through Newcastle, one of the neighborhoods, and I could explore options there. This was kind of the first idea, and I didn't know where to start, so they led me here. So we can explore other options if this wasn't one, and we're not obsessed with like the fire truck. I guess they said they had one before too, but I was like, I'd be fine with like anything, you know, like it doesn't even have to be that, but you know, kids would like that.
I have a question, Amy. We're doing it on the 2nd of July, mean that it was potentially more doable because we are already going to have food trucks there later in the day?
So yes, there is a celebration happening on July 2nd that does involve food trucks and less so with the games because everybody's coming in to find the best spot for the fireworks and a live band. But there are activities happening in the park on July 2nd. It is something that could potentially be examined, but not for 2026. I'm well into the planning for that. So I'm just going to throw out there is a parade that happens already at Newcastle Days, and
We have been talking about a bike parade with that for a while. And we do already have the permits in place, right? We're already having an abundance of people in the park and there's a plan, yeah. So historically in Newcastle Days, we have had a parade that is the start of Newcastle Days. And we have tossed around the idea of having decorated bikes and having that be the launch. And that would be something that I think we could explore. Certainly, that's Saturday, what is that, the 23rd 21st?
19th.
19th, okay, I knew it was later. 19th.
Of September.
Of September. 9:45 in the morning? Is that about right?
parade usually starts at 10:30.
10:30, oh, I'm
Yeah.
giving myself more time, okay, 10:30? Maybe 10:45, yeah.
And if you wanted to, you could pick a theme, for the parade. So that's an option too.
And I don't think that on the 2nd that would work because that's a work day for a lot of people, so I don't think that makes the most sense. So I think what I could do is explore some neighborhood options that utilize not Lake Warren and something else if this isn't the right fit, so that's okay too. But if you, if I do end up finding a location and it works out, and if you guys want to do something down the road with the bike parade for the Newcastle Days, that's something we could be super excited about that too. So, yeah.
And I think, Amy, that would be for this year, right? So as we talk about next year, the right time is to make sure that we get something into the budget if there's extra funding that needs to happen. So, we want to, as we're putting together the budget, or as the city council's putting together the budget and the city manager's putting together the budget for the city, then that's something to consider as well.
So is it something like I should try and re-present and put it to be in the budget for next year?
I would say it's worth figuring out how much you think it would cost to put it on and letting the city council members know that this is something you would like to do and that these are the budgetary considerations.
Okay.
In terms of time frame, you're talking July, like at the latest.
Oh, for me to submit.
To get this information in front of council members.
For next year? Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so I think what I'll do is I'll explore the previous route that they did, and then as I'm doing that, I can see what costs were and that kind of stuff, and then put something together for a more formal version, maybe more inclusive of larger amount of community members that can attend for next year.
Yeah, because they can start reviewing the preliminary budget as early as September, so
Okay.
that's why you want to get it in. early.
Okay, so before September?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
because I would prefer if I could do it after I do a smaller version of this, like in a neighborhood or something, and then we can see what we would like to add to it or do something different and do bigger for next year.
Let me clarify that. They're looking at the budget, the preliminary budget already with numbers in it in September, which is why like, if you want to get a new idea, you want to get it in front of them in July.
Okay, so if I do it right, like July 10th or something, earlier be
Yeah,
better? Okay.
earlier the better.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, love the idea.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Randy?
I just want to say the hot cocoa was delicious at the holiday market. I probably had 3 helpings. And I think this bicycle parade is really cool. So,
Oh, thank
you.
Yeah.
And we're still open to having the national anthem sung if. National anthem on guitar is even better.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Okay, Amy, I think you're up next.
All right, Commission, we are finally into part 4 of our City of Newcastle Parks overview for our new commissioners. This was a process that started, about a year ago, presenting when we had a little bit more time during the meetings to familiarize all of ourselves with all the wonderful amenities in our parks. For those commissioners who are new, I have uploaded the old presentations to the SharePoint. I believe there's a Parks and Trails folder. This is part 4, and there's actually going to be a part 5. Not tonight. And I apologize for the way the fonts are laying out. This is our new parks map that was in the comprehensive plan, so I was able to update that. So just a reminder, Newcastle has nearly 64 acres of park space across the city. They offer active and passive recreational elements, and they include 12 playgrounds and a historic cemetery. So in addition to Lake Bourne Park, currently we have 18 mini neighborhood and resource parks with Hillside Park and Newcastle Historical Park coming online this year. Tonight we're going to look at Donegal Park, the cemetery, Redmond Park, and Thomas Rouse Road Historical Park, and China Falls Park. So sort of the central part of our park system. Donegal Park, we're all very familiar with. We've had a number of activities there. This is a neighborhood park located in the Hazelwood, Donegal, Newport Woods area. It includes a number of amenities, including a gazebo and grill. It's one of the few parks that has a portable restroom. It also has an ADA parking spot as well as a couple of standard parking spots, which is unique to this park as well. A highlight, it was in the Pumpkins in the Parks in 2023 and 24. And then last year it was our location for Arbor Day, which was sadly canceled due to the storm. Our Arbor Day Trick or Treat was taking place in Donegal Park because Parks and Trails Planner Hutchins is undergoing a parks refresh. So they're doing an updated planting plan with native plantings and potentially some new elements as we do receive some King County youth and sports grants. And here are some up-close pictures of Donegal Park. Next we have, and unfortunately Russ has left, our Newcastle Cemetery. It is what we call a resource park. It has just under 3.5 acres. It is located at the end of 129th Ave Southeast, and it is a historic cemetery. One of the highlights is that we recently replaced the cemetery fence with grant funding. It was one of our first locations in Pumpkins in the Park in 2023. And I did want to note that the Newcastle Historical Society hosts regular open houses and cleanup restoration events at the cemetery. And as you can see on the slide there, I have a nice long picture of our new fence. Redmond Park and Thomas Rouse Road Historical Park. I combine these together because they're nearly across the street from each other. Redmond Park is what we call a mini park. It does have quite a bit of acreage at 8.2 acres, but only a little bit more than an acre of that is developed. It's located in Southeast 75th Street, so it is on the east side of the city. It is one of the parks that has a nice turf play area, and with another King County Youth and Sports grant, Planner Hutchins had soccer goals installed last year. It was a location for Pumpkins in the Parks in 2024 and 2025. Thomas Rouse Road Historical Park is right around the corner. It's a mini park with 0.1 acres, and I'm going to escape out of there for a second because it is not. There we go. It's located at 136 Ave Southeast, and it has you'll see a picture of it. It's a very tiny park with a bench, some garden, and a walking trail, a very short walking trail. And here you go. Thomas Rouse Road is in that upper corner there. It's really a mini park. And then the other two pictures are from Redmond Park. And then finally tonight, I want to show you China Falls Park. It is a mini park with 0.4 acres, located at the end of 137th Place Southeast, a cul-de-sac there. Like many of our parks, it has a play area, plantings, paved walkways, but it also has a basketball court, which is receiving new fencing this spring. And that is thanks to a C-Click fix. So a little shout out there that someone submitted a C-Click fix about the fencing, and that is how the new fencing is coming to be. There are some pictures of the basketball court and then the top play area. So very speedy overview of 5 more parks, and then part 5, when we have time to do it, I will share with you the 2 new parks coming online. So the Hillside Park at Parkside, and then Newcastle Historical Park, which Russ talked about this evening. Questions, comments? I went through that fairly quickly, but I will make it available to you in the SharePoint.
So Donegal Park also has a free little library, so if anybody knows that.
Ooh, that is right, that is.
On the sidewalk. Any questions about that, comments? Thank you for doing that. It's always nice to see what's in our community.
Oh. There we go.
All right, next item for discussion, and really just more of a report out, was about our 2026 scholarships. So Commissioner Lee, Chairman Sticks, and I met a couple weeks ago, went through the list of organizations and businesses that we're going to reach out to for sponsorships for the year, divvying them up, and assign those out to various, the 3 of us and Amy as well. And so we're expecting that we're going to get materials around the 1st of April to go out to our businesses. So if anybody has any relationships or knows of any businesses that we should be reaching out to, I would appreciate feedback. The list is on the SharePoint site that we have, so you can go out there and take a look, and we'll be updating that on a periodic basis on the status of where things are and when we go out and visit with folks. We do have a goal of 50,000, I think it was this year, for sponsorships. So it's a doable goal, but also something that takes a little bit of effort. So if you guys have any suggestions or ideas of people to reach out to, we would certainly appreciate that. And Commissioner Lee, do you have anything to add around that topic? Do you have anything to add?
No, thank you. No, kind of looking forward to getting my packet and hitting the street.
Okay, all right. Any questions? Okay. Next is our added item, Commissioner Traeger, to talk about the engagement subcommittee.
Yes, thank you. So last month, we set up the engagement subcommittee with Commissioner Lee, Vice Chair Sticks, who is not able to join today, and myself. And we have created some ideas that we'd like to share with the commission, and then also get feedback on those ideas. So the goals of this are to drive more engagement with the community via the volunteer avenue, and getting more people to sign up for the newsletter. There's about 170 people signed up in 2020 and 2025. And, oh, thank you, sorry about that. I keep getting comfortable. So we had 170 people signed up for 2025, and we had an awesome open rate of almost 70%, which is really just awesome on the volunteer newsletter. So we want to grow that. We want to get more people out. A little bit of the rationale behind this, and walking around the community, I talk to people who want to help. They may not know we have a volunteer opportunity. Some don't know that we have See Click Fix. And so there are people who want to be engaged, but they may not know how to or haven't been communicated with. So Commissioner Lee and I came up with a list of things that we'd like to for the council, the commission to consider and discuss. So the first thing is a survey. We want to talk with the volunteers who we email and just get their opinions on what they think of it and what they might want to see, what they're not seeing. Also, in terms of communicating to people that we have this thing, we were thinking of small laminated cards, like a half sheet of paper, that we could print with a QR code, have them at the various boards, like near the poetry wall, the other walls that we have in all the different parts, so someone could just take a picture of it and sign up and draw them to that. Also, when we talk to people or we're in an event, like even Chat with the Chief, where we have some cards printed up, not named cards with our names on it, but with the QR code with a couple of points on how they might want to engage, why it's important to them. Put them in high visibility areas, and in the voluntary newsletter include See Click Fix promotion in there. I noticed on the website there was a See Click Fix kind of update, but the latest one I could find was from 2024. So we might be able to do something quarterly. I would volunteer to help create content for those things. So I had an idea from last night. Chief Mandela was saying, sure, he wouldn't mind having his officers do a ride-along with his officers, assuming they approve and they have licenses and background checks. So we might have maybe offer a volunteer to be a ride-along once a quarter and get some excitement going that way. And then lastly, we have a lot of people that work on picking up trash and stuff, but we don't have an official adopt-a-road. I have no idea what that costs or what it takes to do, but maybe we could have an adopt-a-road on the main thoroughfares like Oak Creek and Newcastle Way and get engagement. So I think there would be a lot of people who would help keep those clean and see people walking around the city and make it, keep it vibrant and keep it engaging with people. So that's kind of the ideal list. Any discussion, comments, good, bad, and different from the commission?
One thing we spoke about last night was some of you may remember that we've had a QR code posted around, like the perimeter of Lake Warren Park for some of the events, and we thought maybe we could figure out how to put something at the city booth rather than having people although do both, but rather than having to have people write down their name and contact info and all that, is do something quick like a QR code to get get information about volunteering, but also for people to submit their information. We might get a little bit, possibly a little bit more activity there too. But while we're talking about this, I've got a question. I don't know who to pose this to really. Related to trash pickup. We know that there's several citizens that on their own do trash collection or trash pickup in the neighborhood or in Newcastle. Would we be able to do like a community sanctioned almost trash pickup? Are there any liability concerns we need to have? Does anybody have any info on that? Like a lot of people have said, hey, it's great that people are picking up trash, so I want to help. Other than doing it on their own, is that something we'd be able to do?
People are always welcome to clean up their own spaces and public spaces. I mean, nobody's going to stop them. But once it becomes a city organized or hosted program, there are a number of things that need to happen. There's volunteer training that would technically need to happen. There are logs and liability waivers that need to be signed. It's not insurmountable. It just takes staff time to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
This would be an easier event, I feel like, as a groundswell, where those who are doing the work have their own small organization. You could pick a day, or you could just say a week. Hey, everybody, grab a bag, grab a grabber.
Yeah, meet you by this location, kind of a non-city sponsored.
Yeah.
And outreach and could it be put on the newsletter and say, hey, this community group is doing a cleanup in the trails or?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I do know that neighborhood associations organize their own neighborhood cleanup events. And they have shared with me photos of their accomplishments. And that I feel comfortable sharing within the what communications does. I don't know the answer to to advertising to invite people to do so on using city communications channels.
Okay, so maybe there's a path where a home ownership association could have their own day and then publish the results of that day in city communications. That helps to build engagement because other groups would want to do that too.
Yeah, this is great information, and I appreciate having the little chat because this does, at least for me, helps me think about a way to encourage this, and even participate and encourage this while keeping within the allowable frames.
It's not that these things are insurmountable, whether it's a special event permit or, looking at budgeting for another special event in the future or a volunteer program. It's that Newcastle is a contract city with a limited number of staff. And so anytime you're talking about adding things, you need to consider staffing up.
In terms of community engagement, what opportunities do we have as a small city for translation services or our newsletters and other materials to be printed in, say, the top 5 languages in our city to make it more accessible?
I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look into that.
Well, the subcommittee is interested in any ideas that we might have, and I'll talk with Vice Chair Flash and Chair Sticks about how we want to proceed on some of these things.
First of all, you great list of ideas. Are there ones that you're most passionate about?
There's some really easy things to do that I don't think will take much staff time. Maybe some photocopying and laminating, if we have a laminator, to make up those cards and with a QR code and put them in high traffic areas, just to get people to know that there's a volunteer sign up place for them. I think that would create awareness and be a big help there without much cost or staff time. I don't think there'd be a lot of cost anyways. So I think those would be kind of easy go do, go gets kind of thing, but I'm not certain with all the municipal rules. So that would be, I think, an easy one to do and relatively quick to do something like that. I don't think we need to have an ad agency or anything come up with a simple card. So we would need some help from our social media to create a QR code. I could probably create one too that takes them to our website.
Pretty much anybody can sign up for a free Canva account. Canva is a great, very user-friendly, accessible tool. And there are lots of different ways to create a QR code. It's just, choose which way works the best. So that is very doable for any commissioner who wants to play around with that. And yes, staff can make photocopies, laminate, and put up, and then share out, and would be appreciative of the effort to raise awareness. But yeah, Canvas, you can sign up for a free account.
Yeah, so I think there are a few things we can do and have pretty good impact with low effort.
And likewise, you mentioned the volunteer survey. You all have access to the entire Microsoft suite. Forms is the tool that former Commissioner Forsberg used for the summer survey. So that is something that commissioners are absolutely welcome to play around with. And I mean, if you have a Google account, you can also try Google Forms.
Well, following up on that, Amy, so we could create a survey and you could put it out to the volunteer newsletter group. Okay, that would be, I think, something that would be helpful too, to see, just get more ideas and see what people like or would appreciate seeing in the newsletter. Great idea.
And I will say Adopt a Road is on my wish list, but my wish list is very long.
Even one of the things I've been thinking about for a while, I walk my dog by the blank kiosk by the boulevard almost daily, and I always think about, wouldn't it be fun to have like a step cast there? So like QR codes for podcasts, like that people could, scan and listen to, and what if they were perhaps community centric? And then right below, like inspired, so sign up here. So you could, find podcasts that talk about civic engagement. You could find podcasts that talk about connection and community. You could find podcasts that talk about, just, being neighborly and living in community, and maybe that would inspire people too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's easy to get the QR codes.
Just be the laminator.
Right.
Out to commissioners, the signboard by the Lakeborn Park Boardwalk has been on our TBD agenda planning calendar for a while, so whereas April doesn't have anything, perhaps it might be a good idea to move that up for discussion. Currently, I believe the surface water management staff has been posting stormwater educational outreach there, but is very within the purview of the commission to discuss and recommend a policy for what goes up there and what content may go up there.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, great, thank you for adding that to the agenda. Okay, so last, or almost last, is additional public comment. Do we have any?
Thank you, Commission. My name is Andy Jacobs. I'm a Newcastle resident and City Council member. I just want to say a couple things. The Lunar New Year event was awesome. In addition to all the dignitaries were there, the entire council was represented at the event. And thank you to the Commission's council person, Burford, for emceeing that and participating with you guys and making that event a really outstanding event for the community. I also want to say I had a chance this year to go to the library art. I don't know what you refer to that as, the art that was done by the children in the community or young adults in the community, and it was also awesome. There was some amazing art there. I commend all of you guys for putting that together, and I think those are events that the commission and the city should be really proud of, and the students that participated, unbelievable art in some cases. Thank you.
Thank you, and Councilmember Jacobs, thanks for also reminding me that I did have on my list to thank the Newcastle City Council, members of the CAC, and members of the Planning Commission for coming to the Lunar New Year event, and I missed that during my report, so thanks for bringing that up. Any other public comment? Maybe online? No? Okay. Planning calendar. We have a meeting coming up next month on April 8th. Amy and Nathan and I will be meeting in the next couple of weeks to plan the agenda for that meeting. So if you have anything you want to add to the agenda, please let us know. And then, of course, as you know, we can amend the agenda last minute as well during the meeting. But we'd prefer to have things set in stone beforehand to add to that agenda. So if you do have anything you want to add, please let us know.
I have a draft of an email coming your way as soon as we get out of here.
Okay, awesome. And I think that's all for the meeting tonight. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Last call? Okay, I looked at the agenda and I said this meeting is going to go till 7 o'clock, so I do have 12 minutes that I need to talk about. Just kidding. Oh, it is. Oh, sorry. 8 o'clock. Thank you. Anyways, yes, meeting is adjourned at 7:48. Thank you.